Meet Gordon, a board-certified radiologist originally from Vermont. Gordon met his wife Carol in New York City. After a few interim stops and marriage, they settled in Reading. They joined Kesher Zion and soon became active in the Berks County Jewish community. Gordon and Carol give freely of their time both inside and outside the Jewish community. They've served in multiple leadership capacities for the JCC, Kesher Zion, and Federation. Today, they continue to volunteer at the Jewish Family Service Food Pantry. Having raised their 2 children here in Reading, they are now the proud grandparents of 4 grandchildren.
I grew up in Burlington, Vermont, a town about half the size of Reading. Much like here in Reading, it was an active, supportive Jewish community. And like Reading, it welcomed people no matter where you fell in the range of Jewish beliefs. My family was Orthodox. My grandparents and father came here from Europe. My mother was first-generation American. Being Jewish was part of who they were. Observing and practicing Judaism came naturally to them. Burlington was well known for its North End neighborhood, Little Jerusalem. Vermont Public Radio did a nice documentary about it. It was called Little Jerusalem because it was where a lot of Jewish immigrants from Europe settled. It had a mikveh, synagogues, and kosher bakeries. There was a lot of Yiddishkeit going on. It contributed to a strong Jewish education I received both inside and outside of my family. Growing up in Burlington, being Jewish was just a natural part of who I was. In fact, I was pretty good at Yiddish. It was the result of being at home with my grandparents from a very early age. Communicating was not a problem for me or for them until I went to first grade. That was when the first grade teacher contacted my parents. She told them it was difficult to understand me and that they needed to speak English at home. It was a few years later when I also began to better understand a little of the anti-Semitism my parents and grandparents had experienced. I was walking a few blocks to my cheder when I got into a fight with some local kids because I was Jewish. From then on, my father would walk with me to and from school. Carol and I moved here in 1973. It was also a day the JCC was bombed, and we definitely had some concerns. It was time, not just here in Reading, when things were changing. Anti-Semitism was being exposed and no longer tolerated. In fact, not long after moving here, we bought a house in Wyomissing. We were the second Jewish family to do so. We also had a credible, supportive Jewish community and immediately felt at home. We joined the Young Couples Club, got involved with our synagogue and the JCC. We raised 2 children here. While there was no Little Jerusalem, they received a strong Jewish education both within and outside our family. I'm proud to say that education continues as our children and our spouses are involved with Jewish communities. I'm looking forward to the bar and bat mitzvahs of our grandchildren. I've been involved in our Jewish community for many years. I held several offices, including on the board and as vice president at Kesher Zion Synagogue. At one time, I was also president of the Jewish Federation. I still volunteer at the Jewish Family Service Food Pantry each month. What I've learned is that Federation programs can be it the food pantry or current versions of a Young Couples Club or PJ Library. These programs are the glue that keeps our community connected and together. I look at the future of our community, and while it's decreased in size, it has also evolved. The quality of our Jewish community is still there. People are still welcoming, and there's a renewed comfort with being part of a community, no matter where you fall in the Jewish spectrum. The Jewish environment has all the vibrancy and vitality. A lot has to do with the many young Jewish families moving into the area.
The Jewish Federation of Reading hopes you enjoyed this story in getting to know a fellow Jew living in Berks County. Federation is the central organization for issues affecting all Jews in Berks County. It represents us all, working closely in cooperation with local synagogues and community partners. Your gift to Federation supports our Jewish community here in Berks County, in Israel, and around the world. You provide cultural programs through the JCC. You assist Berks County Jews in need through Jewish Family Service. You combat the growing problem of anti-Semitism. You fund Jewish education for the next generation. To continue these services, we ask you to participate in a very special community campaign. During 2020, generous community members will match dollar-for-dollar campaign increases from both new donors and longtime contributors. Every new or additional campaign dollar donated in 2020 becomes two. If you're not yet a contributor, please consider starting. If you're already a contributor, please consider increasing your gift. Your campaign contribution to Federation keeps our story of Jewish life going here in Berks County.